Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Ooh, yeah, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with double-jointed Joel.
Hey guys, what's up? Nice.
And Jewish Joey.
Yes. I'm not Jewish, but I'll take it though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So today we are going to talk about the brand new VHS film titled VHS 94 from 2021. Joel, who do we have for this one?
All right, so this one stars Anna Hopkins. She plays Holly. It didn't say which segment she was in, so I think she's in the very first one, the overarching story.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. And she was in The Expanse, 14 episodes. 14 episodes of Shadowhunters, and 21 episodes of Defiance. She is definitely a TV
right.
girl. Then we got Stephen McCarthy. He's Jimmy. He's in Terror, segment Terror.
Okay.
And he was also in The Expanse for 10 episodes. And The Skulls. And 6 episodes of a Epix show, Chapelwaite.
All right.
I think that's the name, how you pronounce it. And we got Tim Campbell. He plays Mark. I think he's also in the very first one as well, because it didn't say anything for him. And he was in Hollywoodland, Kill Shot, and 3 episodes of The Expanse.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, lots of people for that. So
those guys are terrible actors. The SWAT team,
Yes.
by the way.
Yeah.
If that's who these people are, they are bad.
That whole segment was like a Call of Duty game or something. Just like, it had like dialogue and everything.
Yeah.
But the segment "The Empty Wake" was written by Simon Barrett.
Ooh.
He did VHS 94. That's the only thing he's written.
Okay. Cool.
And then we got David Bruckner, which I think is the very first one, because again it didn't give me a segment for that. He did VHS, Southbound, and Fall into Darkness. And then we've got Chloe Okuno. She did Storm Drain, the segment Storm Drain.
Okay.
And she did Full Circle, which is a short, and a short called Slut.
Okay. All right.
And we got Ryan Prowse. He did Terror, the segment Terror. And he's written Low Life, 15 episodes of Boomerang Kids, and a short called Narco Corrido.
Cool.
Probably not spelling that right, but it's, yeah. Then we got Jennifer Reeder. She did Holy Hell, segment Holy Hell. And she's written Knives and Skin, The Strange Eyes of Dr. Mize, and a short called Crystal Lake, which is not a Friday the 13th thing.
Huh. Okay.
And then finally for writers, we've got Timo Giajanto. He wrote The Subject, and he wrote for VHS 2, The Night Comes for Us, The Blind of the Ghost Cave, Angel's Eyes.
These titles, man.
Some really weird names for these.
So creepy.
Yeah. We got director Simon Barrett, directed The Empty Wake. He directed Seance, which I think just released on Shudder. It's a brand new movie. VHS 2, and a short called The Nothing Deal. Chloe Okuno directed Storm Drain. Also directed Rodney and Cheryl, The Watcher, or just Watcher, and The .coms, which is a short. Ryan Prowse directed Terror. He directed Low Life, Boomerang Kids, 15 episodes, and Narco Corrido, the short, the same as he wrote. Almost done here. We've got Jennifer Reeder, directed Holy Hell, and she directed Knives and Skin, Signature Move, and Restless. And then we've got Timo Giajanto, directed The Subject, as well as the VHS 2 segment, and The Big Four, and Portals.
Okay.
So, yeah, lots of those people.
That was a lot of information.
It was, and that's what you get with these VHS movies.
Yes.
So many writers and
It's
directors.
like 4 movies in one. Yeah.
All right, so the synopsis. A police SWAT team investigates about a mysterious VHS tape and discovers a sinister cult that has pre-recorded material which uncovers a nightmarish conspiracy. There you go. So that's the overarching story, which is pretty unclear throughout the whole movie, at least to me. I didn't really know what they were doing. And the end, I still don't really know what happened. But maybe you guys can explain it to me. But that's the overarching story, and then we have, of course, the little short films.
Yeah, the overarching story, I will say, is probably my least favorite story of all of them.
Yeah.
It's just not interesting. It's horribly acted.
Yeah.
And there's just no redeeming quality whatsoever for that.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same with all these VHS movies. They're all kind of weak in that respect.
Yeah. The main story.
Yeah.
I will say that this movie is definitely gorier than all of the VHS movies.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much combined. That's where the budget went for this, is just like the blood and gore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have much to say about that very first segment, because it was very uninteresting to me, and I couldn't care less about what was going on. I will say the transition was pretty cool between that and the very first story that we got.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like on TV. It was like a news broadcast,
right.
And then it goes straight into that, which I thought was kind of cool. Which is entitled Storm Drain.
Okay. So Joey, what did you think of the overarching story?
It was hard to follow.
Yeah.
You get kind of encapsulated in each one of these stories. Then it backs out. I mean, that's kind of the name of the game with VHS. That's what you sign up for, I guess, when you watch it. But when it would back out, you'd be like, wait, I don't even remember what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then you see a bunch of just running around. You see a bunch of dead people with empty, no eyeballs. And they go back into another story, and you're like, wait, I don't even know what, is this a drug raid? Or what's going on?
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to follow.
Yeah. No, definitely. I agree. Once it backs out to the main story, I'm like, okay, let's just get to the next film.
Yeah.
I don't really care what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really say what they were looking for. Apparently, the synopsis says they're looking for a VHS tape, but I don't really remember them saying that. If they did, it was very brief and not a focus.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't put a VHS in any VCR either in the entire movie. So whatever they're looking for, they never find.
Apparently.
Yeah. Do these videos just pop up? Like just randomly just play and pop up and stuff, and then the SWAT team just sits there and watches them? I don't get it. I was so confused. Do they just sit down for 20 minutes and watch a video?
That's the issue I had with the last one as well.
Yeah.
It's the same issue I have with this one, is that at least in the first two, they actually go somewhere and find these VHS tapes and actually watch
them.
the VHS. They
Yeah.
actually put them in a VCR and watch them.
Mhm.
With these, it just magically shows up. This one
Yeah, it
was
was
not any
weird.
different
Yeah.
than Viral in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
Joel, I will
bummed out
agree
about
with
that.
you. The transition from like into the first one was pretty cool. I
That
felt
was
like.
Yeah. After that, it wasn't. But that
No.
that first one was pretty cool.
Well, it took me like, honestly, it took me like probably a good like 30 to like 60 seconds to realize, wait, this is like one of the short movies.
Yeah. This is,
Like
this
I was
is
like,
different.
I was kind of just watching. I was like, wait, I guess this is like one of the movies,
Yeah.
like one of like the films or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It just felt like you were just watching like a news channel. Like I thought they were just kind of, going back in time and stuff or something like that. But I was like, wait, this is one of the movies. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe
Caught you off guard a little bit.
maybe the news coverage could have been about the raid or something.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
what I was kind of looking at, or that's kind of the feel I got for at least like probably half a minute or so. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is one of the videos. But
Yeah.
I thought
So I
that was a
did
cool
make a
transition.
I did make a mistake. Holly, the first name that I mentioned, was in Storm Drain. She was the main person in
okay.
that one,
Okay.
not in the very first one.
Okay.
So her acting was actually pretty good.
Wait, was she was the one that she was a reporter?
She was a reporter.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was probably the best actor. And that's
Yeah.
not really, I mean, that's not like really saying a whole ton.
It's really not.
I mean, he's in the bar, like, no offense.
Yeah.
If these actors, if any of them listen to this podcast, I'm sorry. But
They all do. Yeah.
it wasn't your fault, actors.
It was the writing.
It was the writing.
So we're blaming the writers now,
Yep.
who also listen to this podcast.
So this one is about like news coverage of this thing that they're calling the Rat Man that's in like the sewers.
Mhm.
Kind of starts with interviews about or from like locals saying that they've seen him and this or that. And this reporter goes into the storm drain. And there you go.
And that's the story.
Pretty much. And she discovers creepy stuff and
She discovers what
The Rat Man.
Yeah, so with the other 3 VHS movies, there was quite a few years in between, like us actually talking about them. For like spoilers, do you want to like talk about what happens in these stories?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, let's
It
just
literally
talk
came
about it.
out, but
Let's talk
Okay.
about it. I don't think anybody's going to listen to this that hasn't watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you're
No
not
one's
going
really
to. Yeah.
care about VHS 94 unless you actually watched it.
So yeah, she's in the storm drain. She encounters the Rat Man and
Mhm.
like his people, I guess.
Yeah. And the cameraman gets spit up on, like, or whatever was like leaking from
Yeah.
the Rat Man to see if he was like quote unquote worthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his skin just melts off completely, which was kind of cool, actually.
That was
And,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
and then it happens to her too, and nothing happens. And like the very next scene is her just okay at the
At the
back
news
to
news
work at the
broadcast.
yeah, which was a little weird. And then she spits up on on the other co-anchor and
Yeah,
he
and fries his
literally-
face.
Yeah, that was so.
That was
when I
awesome.
say, like, yeah. So it really like bumped up the gore in this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Compared to the other ones, which is a really cool effect when it's done right.
Yeah.
So seeing his like skin like melt off like that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely my favorite part of that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably mine too. It just caught me off guard. Like, okay, like I was not expecting that to happen
Yeah.
at all. Like his entire like his skin just to dissolve from his body.
I thought
was intense.
I thought at the very end of that segment, like when they go back to like the news desk and stuff, even though it was like I felt like it was like sort of corny, I guess, like
Yeah.
just the acting or whatever. But I thought it was like really creepy.
Yeah.
Like the very end of it when they're all just like kind of talking or whatever and stuff, and then she just kind of, I think the guy says "rat man" or something. He says something, then she gets like all like crazy and stuff, and like throws
like
that acid on his
Rahman
face or whatever.
something.
Yeah.
Or Radaman
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And
Ramadan?
I
Is it
thought
Ratman?
Ramadan. No, I thought that was like super creepy. It was
Yeah.
weird, but like it kind of,
Mhm.
I was like, man, that's like really. I don't know. I like moments where you're like, man, it just feels like it's like normal, then all of a sudden it just turns.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just like, oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was kind of a cool effect.
Right. Yeah, the whole like news desk scene was cool both times when they showed it
Mhm.
at the beginning and then at the
Mhm.
end. And then the random commercial in there was kind of a cool little touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, for me it was overall a pretty cool story and, you know, some good effects.
Mm-hmm.
The only real issue I have is what are we watching? So we're watching like the news, and then we're watching a reporter, and then we're going back to the news. Like, is it just, are we watching like a bunch of edited stuff?
Yeah.
It's no,
You know.
it's no longer found footage
Right.
anymore.
Right.
It hasn't been since Viral.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's yeah.
It's like pieced together and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
So-
yeah, and that way it's kind of hard to follow or hard to believe, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not hard to follow, it's
Mhm.
just hard to believe, like that someone
Yeah.
found this footage.
Yeah.
Because that's the premise, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, that's what it's
the
supposed
gist
to
of
be.
it.
That's what these movies started out as being. Like
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
were no cuts, no edits in the first, especially in the first movie. There were some in the second, but they just decided to just scrap all that in the third one and in this one too. They're just like,
Yeah.
all right, well, this is no longer found footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something completely different. So
Right. And
I-
yeah,
how
some
do
of it was like, you know, the cameraman, like when he was filming, like it looked cool. It looked like that found footage type of thing.
yeah.
But then the news stuff was thrown in, and then a commercial, and so it's like,
hmm
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, how are we doing this here? So
Was it this one? I think it was this. No, it might have been. Was it this one? I watched these movies basically back to back, Viral in this one. Was there a bunch of like cuts in the first like 5 minutes of this movie? Like the camera would be on, and then like you just see white screen, and then it'd be on again, and you see white screen. Like white noise. Or was that in the third one? Because I was meaning on.
I don't remember that.
yeah,
Comments on that.
yeah. The third
'Cause it was
one, had
much of that.
yeah. No, I think it's the third one. It had like the couple.
Okay.
It had like the couple, and then they're like hanging out at like a bridge or something. And then it
Yeah.
like cuts to something else, and it goes back to them. There's a bunch of static, and yeah, that
it
was the third one.
Okay, yeah. I was meaning to comment on that. I was like, that's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I
too
agree.
many cuts and yeah. But
Yeah.
I guess this one backed down on that.
Yeah.
To that extent. I think there was still some of that in there, but not as much, at least.
All right, let's talk about the second one.
Yeah.
So the second one, we've got The Wake.
No,
Or
the
I
something
think-
wake, right? The
The
empty wake.
Yeah, it's
Empty
Empty
Wake.
Wake. Yeah.
Yeah. This was my favorite.
yeah,
This was
the-
mine too.
me too,
Yeah.
by far.
This was definitely a VHS
Right.
story.
Right.
It was low budget. It was, I mean, it was horror, and it was.
It was horror.
Some of these are not horror.
yeah. Yeah.
And it felt like a VHS, like the first VHS story.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
us in that, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Going back
Yeah.
to the roots of VHS. So,
Yeah. So this one, I think she's like a newer employee to this funeral home.
mhm.
She's asked to stay for this wake that's happening during this big storm. There's a casket in the room, and they tell her like it's a closed casket funeral. You don't want to look at, who this person or what they look like now. And so she's just waiting for like family members to come in, pay their respects or whatever. And then things start happening with this casket, and people don't really show up. So she's kind of freaking out, and there's a storm knocking the power out, and
Of course,
so
is.
yeah.
Always is.
Dude, I felt like they did a really good job with the storm.
Yeah, they did.
With the lights flickering and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it felt real with the thunder and everything. Usually those things are kind of lame in movies, even in like full production movies.
Yeah.
But they did it really well in this one.
Yeah. It definitely didn't feel like over the top.
Yeah.
It felt pretty appropriate.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
With the lights flickering and stuff, like you're like kind of almost expecting like something to show up when the lights turn back on. But it doesn't really happen. But but yeah, it was tension building. And there was a couple of cameras, but there was only like 2 or 3. So
I think there was probably 3, I think.
Yeah.
I love the tension building for this one because there were a couple of camera angles that made it feel like something was about to happen behind her.
Yeah.
Like there's one part where she's in the corner and the casket's like front and center behind her. And I was like, okay, something's going to happen. I was keeping my eye on that casket like the entire episode or the entire segment.
Yeah.
And that's really good, like tension building. Not a whole lot happened. Like there were really no jump scares, which is another thing that sometimes stories like this in particular would have. Like she opens the casket and it pops out at her or something.
Right.
But nothing like that happened. And so it was very simple yet very effective. Yeah. So I enjoyed it.
What'd you think, Joey?
Dude, I love this one. Yeah, this one was definitely the peak or the best story by far, I feel like. The simpleness of it, the 2 or 3 cameras, the fixed location where you just have that single location, the tension. I love the guy that walked in. It's like hella creepy. He walked in, he just sat down, he got back up, and he like left, and you're like, what the hell is going on? What is the story behind this guy that died?
That's when things
like what
took a turn though too after he left.
Yeah.
So I'm like wondering if he like cursed.
Well, somebody chained up the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that he came in and chained up the front door, I guess. But
I don't know where he got the chain from, but
yeah, me neither. His pickup truck or something. But yeah, just the tension and stuff. Then you start thinking like, I don't know how long this was, like probably 15 or 20 minutes or so, this segment. But throughout the course, I was like, man, what did this guy do? Like, what is like, he was in a car wreck or something like that is what they said, but you're like, that can't be true. Like how is this guy going to look? What's his backstory and stuff? So you start thinking about that, and it was just like entertaining all the way through, which I really enjoyed.
The thing I like that you mentioned, like the time, like the 15 to 20 minutes, because these segments were way too long. I felt they should have been shorter. Like there were fewer stories in this one than like 1 and 2. But the movie itself, I think, was the longest of all of them.
It was, yeah.
It was like 1 hour and 40 minutes, and it's like, it could have been a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
I kind of lost attention for a couple of these stories because of that. I was like, all right, this is kind of dragging out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
This one was appropriately timed.
Yeah.
This had an appropriate duration. And right toward the end, you kind of realize that this guy, didn't he like jump from like some ledge or some building?
Yeah, he jumped from like the top of a building or something.
Yeah. So it wasn't but he was like chanting something or saying something.
Yeah.
I don't remember. There was something, obviously that it was not true that he got in a car accident, and there's something up with his death and everything. And that's like right before kind of the climax. That's my only negative for this one, is when you actually see the guy when he comes out. I don't know. Like I wanted something scarier. and he was just kind of lame.
Yeah.
I don't know. He wasn't very threatening, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I wanted something a little more sinister rather than this guy with like half a head.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been a lot scarier once you actually see this guy and,
Yeah.
if he was like not from the casket, if he was like some sort of like spirit or some sort of entity or something, I feel like that would have been scarier.
Yeah.
But it was like literally the guy from the casket coming out all messed up. His like body's like falling apart and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a weak part to me, but overall I enjoyed it.
Yeah, overall it was a good story.
Did the mortuary people, did they know like his story? I guess they must have, and they still like left her there alone. Like, why would they be evasive like that?
Yeah,
that's why I was like, wait, are they in on it too, or what's the deal?
Yeah, well, I mean, they could have been the ones that chained the door. Well, no,
that's true.
No, because then
the
that
guy had to have got.
Yeah, he wouldn't have got in.
So he had to have been the one to chain it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she tried to escape after he left.
Yeah.
Unless he left a different door or something, but I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they did know because they were kind of like passive about it. Like, oh, don't worry, it's no big deal. Just hang out here. Like they tried to like really reassure her, like a little too much.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe they did know something. But I don't know. I mean, that's kind of like the cool thing about these too is you don't have all the answers. It's just kind of you're just watching what's happening in real time.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
So the next one we have is The Subject. This is the Indonesian one. This is from the same director and writer as Safe Haven from VHS 2.
Okay.
Which is about the cult.
Yeah.
Which had the Antichrist in it.
Yeah.
At the very end there. So this was an interesting one.
Wait. Safe Haven. Is that, on a little side note? Safe Haven, isn't that the one with like the school?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. That was pretty good.
Story. I think that was my favorite story in that entire one of my favorite in that entire movie.
It was definitely the scariest one, I would say, from the second film.
Yeah, that one was pretty crazy.
Yeah, this one was very different.
Yeah.
We've got a Frankenstein-ish type mad scientist.
Right.
Creating... So the very first scene you see is like a head of someone with like the body of like a metallic like spider, like
tarantula.
So that was really weird.
Yeah,
just,
right.
Seeing that for first.
Right when I saw that, I was like, "Oh gosh, here we go."
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the trailer and seeing some of this scene, like the first-person shooter type of stuff that was going on, and thinking, "Okay, that is probably a segment I'm not really gonna be into," and I was correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked the first-person shooter part of it a little bit. It did drag on a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of these do. But it was definitely a violent and bloody time.
Yeah. A lot of limbs flying off. And
probably the most like violent of all of them in this entire movie. But so you've got like the SWAT team coming in. They're looking for this guy who he's like watching himself on the news or watching the news and they're talking about him.
Yeah.
And they come in and his inventions start attacking people.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty intense at that point. This is definitely not one of my favorites either. It was still fun though. It was still like it didn't feel like a VHS.
No.
Just like most of Viral didn't feel like a VHS movie.
Yeah.
But it was still like fun for 15-20 minutes. Unlike some of the stories in Viral, I wouldn't want to see this one extended
No.
separately. I just have no interest in that whatsoever. But for the time that you had with it, it was relatively fun. Still one of, not my favorite by any stretch. But
What do you think, Joey?
I did not like this one at all. I don't really like sci-fi Frankenstein kind of movies and stuff. And then just like Danny, like that very first scene, I was like, oh man, especially after it coming from that week one, I was like, I was getting kind of excited, and I even texted Danny. I said, man, I think you're gonna like this movie. And then I watched that one, and I was like, man, I think I spoke too soon. I think I jinxed it. I think. I was just bored. I was so bored. I felt like it lingered on so long. It's like, how long can you watch this guy just talking to the camera?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then the second part of it, well, first of all, I felt like it was like probably 15 minutes too long, probably. Literally. Then the second half felt like a first person like shooter game.
Yeah.
Like video game where I'm like, I don't really care about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you actually see like the half human, half robot and stuff, and you're like, that's not scary.
Right.
Like, that's not scary at all. I'm like, I don't really care about any of this stuff. It's not scary. It's like a bunch of action, a bunch of limbs flying everywhere. Kind of gross. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I can appreciate it. I can appreciate like the, like if that's like your thing. Yeah. Like I can appreciate. I think he probably did a good job in what he was trying to do. Probably. It's just not my. It's not my taste, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. It was kind of, definitely wasn't really horror, I wouldn't say. Definitely more sci-fi action. And, and it was Indonesian. It was subtitled. So that's part of the movie too, which sometimes can not be too bothersome, but if it's already kind of a longer segment, you already don't really care too much, and then you have to read, then it's like, okay, I definitely don't care anymore.
After wasn't much reading going on.
Right. But yeah, I didn't like this. I was actually falling asleep, and I had to turn it off because I'm like, I just want to take a nap. And
is this segment that you?
Yeah, it was toward the end of this. It was toward the end of this when I was like, okay, I'm gonna turn it off. I think it was right at the end, right when we go back to the SWAT team. I was like, oh gosh, now we have to do the SWAT team stuff. So I'm just gonna watch it tomorrow. It was like one thing to the next. Like, oh great. So yeah,
that
definitely
one
didn't like this.
The segment for the SWAT team one was the Holy Hell one.
Oh, okay. That's what they called that. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they called it. For some reason, Holy Hell. Don't know why, but
maybe they say that at one point.
They probably do.
Yeah.
Along with some really stupid dialogue that they have in that one.
Yeah.
We're really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah. Oh man, it was horrible.
So corny.
Okay. What is the next one?
The next one is called Terror.
Okay.
This one.
These right-wing extremists.
Yeah. It's a very original story.
It is an original story. I'll give it that.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah. It's still not good.
Ripped from the headlines. It's like a Law and Order episode.
Yeah.
It could be, actually.
So we've got these right-wing insurrectionists,
yes.
patriots,
American heroes,
bombing Washington.
Yeah.
So that's
no, they're gonna bomb Detroit.
Yeah,
I think
Detroit.
I think it was Detroit.
Washington. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Detroit.
That's fine then.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so they're like creating this bomb with the blood of, I don't know who they were. I'm not quite sure. They were just like shooting these people and then draining their blood and putting it on like an animal, and then they explode in the sunlight. So there's that, but then there's also like this creature too that they made, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's so confusing.
Place.
I thought this one had potential.
Yeah.
I thought this one
Me
could have
too.
been good because the characters were pretty creepy with how extreme they were.
They were idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were so
but-
dumb and funny.
but you could almost buy it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I thought that it could have been so much better.
Mhm.
But then again, like, that's the problem with the last two movies. They just are a little too out there with
Yeah.
their concepts and execution.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, you know, The Empty Wake is very simple, and you need that's what you need for
And
VHS.
that was our favorite one, and it was the most
Yeah.
simple of them all. Like, you don't need all this extravagant stuff, like this fantastical like world that you're creating.
Yeah,
Not for your VHS movies. Like,
yeah, it's too
you need
much.
The empty casket, like that's, you know, stop
So basic.
trying to make yourself work harder.
Yeah,
Smarter, not harder. Come on, guys.
right. So again, like from Viral, this one could have been like a full feature-length film, where you could like
Yeah.
kind of dive further into the characters and their motivations and, you know, all that, and then they all just, you know, end up getting killed at the end. It could have been done, you know, it could have been dark. It could have, I don't know, could have been.
I do
so
want
much
to know
better.
how this group of idiots created a creature.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I mean. Like we could learn these things, and then maybe it would be more interesting. Because I feel like they were idiots, but they were motivated, you know, and it was viable, like that they were motivated and
That's
what you know
the
they
scariest thing of all.
were right.
Motivated idiots.
That's where the horror comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
What their plans are, and you know they think that they're doing righteous work, but they're terrorists.
Yeah.
But they're patriots, though, at the same
yes,
time.
Exactly.
Patriotic terrorists.
Yeah. So, and you know, it did have a little reference to the time period. They were talking about Clinton, and
Yeah.
so you know, I kind of like
94,
that. I was
okay.
like, oh yeah, that's right. This is supposed to take place in the 90s.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
It was
Kind of
around the
forgot
time
about
like
that
the-
along the way.
And it was around the time like the Oklahoma City bombing and stuff, or it would have been
Right.
too.
Mhm.
That's true.
So kind of like that domestic kind of terrorist
Yeah.
kind of, you know, feel of it and stuff.
Right.
And it felt, I mean, to me, it felt like you felt like you were in like the mid 90s in that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It felt like the mid 90s. The other ones, I mean, the first one, yeah.
The first one did for me.
Yeah.
Seeing the broadcast like that, like the 90s definitely had a different tone for their like movies and television. Like a softer tone
Yeah.
than like if you're watching a show from the 90s that goes on through the 2000s, there is a difference between the 90s like picture and
Yeah.
the 2000s picture.
For sure.
And I like how they did do a good job of adding that 90s touch to the picture, to the newscast. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate that.
So yeah, this one would probably be my third out of the four.
Yeah.
With the fourth being the subject.
Right.
Yeah.
And were you guys like sort of confused with this one a little bit? I was kind of confused as far as like there was that buzzer that would go off and then they would drain the blood, and then it's like, wait, like what are they like? Are they just crazy?
Yeah.
Like
That's why we need more time with
like
this.
what?
Yeah. I
But
was
yeah,
confused.
it's so weird.
And
Mhm.
there was like, you know, the blood apparently like, you know, made you blow up, I guess.
Yeah.
So there was that, which I thought, okay, you know, they're using that for like a bomb. So this is like evil people that they're killing. Maybe they're like vampires or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the sunlight and everything. So I thought that, okay, that's kind of interesting. But then there's this creature too. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
it's
that
like a separate.
yeah, what's
thing
that about?
they're-
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the
That
creature
scene-
was not really. I was thinking that it was going to be this huge monster, but it's like a dude. It's like just a guy with like a big mouth or something. Like, I don't
Yeah. So weird.
Yeah.
When he came down from like the attic or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I was expecting like a creature, not like a person. It looked like a person. He had like
That
a suit
scene
on or
where-
something.
Where you like hear the growling coming from like the opening, like
Yeah.
the cave or whatever that they're in, and the guy on the truck is like shooting in his minigun,
Yeah,
and he's like shooting other people.
he's like killing
Like, dude,
everybody.
What are you
Yeah,
doing? And then the other guy like has to kill him in order to stop
Yeah.
it. Like, well, come on, guys.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
that
is-
was a really weird.
what is happening?
Then at one point they hid behind me, the sunlight. They're like, "Oh, the sun's coming up," and you're like, "What the hell?" Like, I was like, "Man, am I?" I was thinking about you guys. I was like, "Man, am I the only one confused about this?" Like, the sun's coming up. What?
Well, and then it started kind of connecting because they were talking about this building that they were like staking out, and they're like, oh, that gets good sunlight right there, and I'm like, what the heck? What are they talking about? Why do they need sunlight? Wouldn't you want to do this in the dark? Like, if you guys are trying to do some terror attack, I think it should be in the dark so you're not
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
So then the sunlight comes out later and explodes. So I was like, oh, okay, that's why they
Yeah.
need the sunlight. All right, get it now.
Yeah, that was not one of the best ones.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely not.
That was I honestly think this one was my least favorite. In front of the main story.
Okay.
That was definitely my least favorite, but this one.
Oh, yeah.
was a pretty close second.
Yeah, I forgot about the main story. Yeah, well, that one
Yeah.
doesn't even count.
No, definitely not.
It's not
It's
even
automatic
a-
last.
Yeah, it's not even a story.
It's not even a story.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, so let's go into the end.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the end is supposed to connect to the main story.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how it connects.
Mhm.
All of a sudden we have a guy sitting in a chair.
Slater.
Slater, yes.
Yeah.
Was he one of the SWAT guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so my understanding, because I was thinking about it, my understanding is that they were, they're all on the SWAT team, right? Slater
Yeah.
and these two girls or whatever. So they found this compound or whatever that these two girls were at.
Okay.
So because they make note that they finally found her or found them or something like that.
Uh-huh.
That their own SWAT team finally found their compound.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm assuming,
Okay.
that they're all. So now they're filming one last snuff film as
Okay.
Slater is like the last, death, I guess.
I may have checked out at this point because I don't remember exactly how it ends.
Yeah, he's like sitting in a chair, and then these girls are talking to
Mhm.
him, and they're like changing into these like white suits, I guess. I don't know. They mentioned some white suit with a tie, and then they're talking about like how the films, and I don't know. I was lost. But what you're saying, Joey, I will take your word for it. I think that's what they're supposed to be trying to say here, but
I think so. I could be wrong,
yeah.
but I think that's the gist that I got.
Yeah, but it's like, who cares?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it was such bad acting. I think Joel
Yeah.
alluded to it and stuff. Like just the dialogue at the end, I was like, this could be so much cooler. Like so
Yeah.
much cooler. But it's so choppy. And I understand that's
Mhm.
part of the game and stuff. But like going back to the first one, it felt like it's so much more simple. Somebody just comes in there, they're looking for like VHS tapes or whatever, and they end up playing them.
Yeah.
So much more simpler. This one, it's like you have like a raid that you're just like, I don't even know, like, every little frame, whatever. You're like, wait, where did these people come from? I don't even know
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah.
And at the very end, you're like, oh, well, there was no build up to this whatsoever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the raid stuff was really hard to see. It was,
Yeah.
I watched it on my phone, but it was really hard. It was really dark, and like the filming was really like staticky. There's like this static line throughout the whole thing. So it was like hard to know even what was happening. It was all dark, so I didn't like that either, and that kind of made me check out too with the SWAT stuff.
It does say that Slater was in Terror and Holy Hell, so they were trying to connect the two.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Was he was one of the extremist guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too. But I couldn't tell because it was like right after that. So it was like he was kind of a part of it, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
but I
think don't they make note of that right before they kill him? I guess.
I think so. I think so.
I can't remember what exactly they said, but that kind of does ring a bell a little bit, though.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
But it's like these things that are so loose that it's like it's not clear. The connections aren't really clear, and just the overall story is definitely not really clear. It's like I don't know. I feel like there's like a whole nother hour and a half that was not in the movie. Like just that whole SWAT stuff. I'm like, there's so much missing here. I don't
fine.
Get it.
I don't want another hour and a half.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely not.
Oh man.
Okay. Let's grade it.
Do you want to rank them after this? Because my rank list will be pretty easy.
The VHS films?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
That'll
go quick.
And should we grade them per movie?
No, we've
graded
just been
overall.
Yeah, we've been
overall. Okay.
Overall.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, Joey, you want to start?
Oh, I'm gonna go. Wait, let me do some quick math real quick. Joel, you go first.
Okay.
You go first, Joel.
I think I'm torn because I really, really like The Empty Wake.
Yeah.
That was a really good story. It didn't fit this one. It fit one of the other first two VHS movies.
Yeah.
This felt way out of place with this. I just didn't care for any of the other stories. I'm going to go with a 67.
Okay. So you like Viral more than this one?
I did. I at least like the stories more than I liked in this one.
All right.
When we were talking about, I would love to see an actual like full length version of a couple of those stories.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit the VHS Viral. It just didn't fit the VHS format. Yeah. I didn't care about any of these stories.
Yeah.
Besides The Empty Wake.
All right. Joe, you want me to go next, or are you ready?
No, I did all my math.
Okay.
I got a little weighted average.
You got the mean.
Actually, I graded on a bell curve. So my grade, including The Empty Wake, which was my favorite as well, including that, I'll give it a 65.
65.
If you take The Empty Wake out, I'm gonna give it a 60.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd give it way lower if you took that one out.
Yeah.
That's only 5%.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going.
It's a weighted average.
Right.
It's a bell curve. Come on.
So I'm going. Man, this is hard. I'm going 45.
Wow.
I gave Viral
what, a 44?
Yeah. I liked this one just barely a little more. I was either going to do like a 43 or a 45. I couldn't tell if I liked it just a little more or a little less.
Yeah.
It was really, it's hard to grade these overall. So
yeah, it is.
But VHS, the first one, I think I gave like a 90. So
oh, wow.
It's taken quite a dive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's rank these real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, or 4, 3, 2, 1, whichever way you want to go. That's my ranking.
Okay, so you got the third one is your last?
4th is my least favorite.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So literally 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Gotcha. Then
so I was like, my ranking's gonna be easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I got 1, 2, 4, 3, I think.
1,
Yeah.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Okay, so we're done with those. I was looking forward to this one. I'm kind of bummed.
I was too.
I know. Me too.
Viral was 2014, so 7 years. Between that one and this one, like you guys could have come up with something better.
Yeah.
In that amount of time.
Yeah, I feel like it's VHS. The first one was just kind of so new, fresh, simple but effective, and that is hard to recreate. I feel like, because you even look at like Paranormal Activity, like the first one, very simple, effective, and good. And then
just make stories like The Empty Wake. Like it doesn't have to be crazy. It just something simple. And I mean, for the most part, the second one had that too. I mean, it had a little bit more. It had zombies and stuff, so that's kind of like fantastical, but it still was sort of grounded in some sort of a reality. None of these, except for The Empty Wake, were grounded whatsoever. Like they were just all over the place. Yeah. And the fact that they did The Empty Wake in the 4th VHS movie tells me that they still can do that. Yeah. They just choose not to.
I wonder
if that irritates me.
Joel's getting upset.
He's getting heated.
I probably wouldn't be if that particular segment wasn't in this one. Yeah. The fact that it was, that's VHS 1 level of of awesome. Yeah. So they are capable of doing that. They just choose not to.
Well, I wonder if that type of filmmaking is just kind of not popular right now and just not sought after. It's more so this like obscure, like crazy weird stuff for these short films that might be, kind of the trend. So maybe a lot of people aren't making these simpler stories.
I feel like the fact that Viral's still getting talked about as being the stupidest one of them all tells me that there's still quite a few people that do like that type of filmmaking.
Yeah. Well, I think people like it.
One filmmaking,
but are people making it? Is the thing.
Yeah.
Are people?
You need to make what people love. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So do better next time, or don't make another one.
I'm hoping to do better because I do like the concept. I do like the idea that they're giving these like first time, second time, whatever directors and writers a chance to like make their own story.
Yeah.
But you don't have to make it so crazy. Don't make it so out there. You can do a simple story and still make it effective and good.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope. So like melancholy. We're taking VHS way too seriously. I can't believe we talked for over 50 minutes about this movie. All right, let's get out of here. All right, Joey, thanks for coming on. We appreciate your feedback here on the movie.
Absolutely.
And we'll have you on for Halloween Kills, correct?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. Okay, well, this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let the Rat Man bite.
Right on.